أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Inshallah, this week we will continue our discussion on the miraculousness of Quran from 25th word. And today's link, I am sharing the link from chat screen. Oh, so people say there's background noise. Let me check my audio settings for a second. Okay. So is it better now? Okay. So inshallah, today's discussion is going to be about uniqueness of Quran's style. How is it miraculous? So there are going to be multiple examples. First, the author is going to start from letters, and he's going to talk about disjointed letters that appear at the beginning of many of the chapters of Quran. Let's first start with that. Then, depending on time, we can continue with the next part, which is going to be about the style of an entire chapter being wonderful. So I'm starting to read from here. Third point, this is the wonderful uniqueness of its style. Indeed, the Quran's style is both strange and original, and wonderful and convincing. It has imitated nothing and no one has been able to imitate it. Its style has always preserved the freshness, youth, and singularity it possessed when it was first revealed, and continues to preserve it. For instance, the unique style of the cipher-like muqatta'at, the disjointed letters like alif lam mim, alif lam ra, ta ha, ya sin, ha mim, ain sin qaf, at the beginning of some of the surahs. We have described 5 or 6 of these flashes of miraculousness. They comprise in Isharatul-Ijaz. So in another book of his, which is called Isharatul-Ijaz, The Signs of Miraculousness, he explicitly talks about those disjointed letters. In this book, he's going to talk about partially. For example, these letters at the start of certain surahs, certain chapters, have taken half of each category of the many well-known categories of letters, like the emphatic letters kaf, kaf, qaf, ta, alif, jim, dal, ta, ba, the sibilants, the stressed letters, the soft letters, the labiolinguals, and tremolo, qalqala letters, qaf, ta, dal, jim, ba, taking more than half from the light letters and less than half from the heavy letters, neither of which are divisible. It has halved every category. Although the human mind would be capable of it, halving all those categories, overlapping one within the other, hesitant among 200 possibilities, in the only way possible, which was hidden to the human mind and unknown to it, and organizing all the letters on that way, over that broad distance, was not the work of the human mind. and chance could not have interfered in it. Thus, in addition to these letters at the beginning of the surahs, divine ciphers displaying 5 or 6 similar flashes of miraculousness, scholars versed in the mysteries of the signs of letters and authorities from among the saints deduced many secrets from these disjointed letters. They discovered such truths that they declared that on their own these letters form a brilliant miracle. Since we are not party to their secrets and also we cannot provide proofs clear to everyone, we cannot open that door. We shall therefore suffice with referring readers to the explanation in Isharatul-Ijaz of 5 or 6 flashes of miraculousness related to them. Yes, so author talks about one aspect of miraculousness of those letters in here, which was a little bit cryptic to me. So I will first briefly explain what I understand, and if you have any comments, let's talk about it. So generally, these letters are considered as cipher-like symbols because they are simply letters. They are not even words. So in a speech which is addressing me to convey me some message, there are those cryptic letters at the beginning of some of those chapters. So what is the point? What is the purpose of that? So it is generally considered that it's like some encrypted message between the creator and the messenger, and also saint-like people. What I understand from that is people who put effort into establishing connection with the creator or getting close to the creator, putting time and effort into understanding the scripture, would start getting the meanings or the purposes behind these. So, and in this part, author is talking about the choice of those letters, because those letters are repeating in different numbers across. If you sum up the how many times Alif appears, how many times Sin appears, for example, author says those letters are picked in a certain way, which once we make the calculation after the text is in front of us, we see that there is this proper balance, I would say, as he has been explaining in here, which is not possible to achieve with human mind. So he says out of 200 possibilities, where was it? Yeah, hesitant among 200 possibilities in the only way possible, which was hidden to the human mind and unknown to it. So those letters are organized in a way that the heavy letters are half, light letters are more. So it takes more than half from the light letters and less than half from the heavy letters. So this sort of a balance he's talking about in here. So broadly, this is what I understand. So I don't, I mean, honestly, I didn't go and make those calculations for myself. So in this regard, I'm relying on the author and the scholars of Arabic for that. But what do you think? Do you have any comments in general? Like what this text is talking about? Or separately, if you have any comments for those letters, why are they cryptic? What do they mean? Let me listen to your comments. Brother Birkan, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for lovely introduction. So one thing I really loved about the text, so the author ends the paragraph as, like ends the paragraph saying, since we are not party to their secrets, and also we cannot provide proofs clear to everyone, we cannot open that door. So he talks about these other scholars who discovered some miraculous meanings out of the letters, either in terms of the what they mean or the way they are used, let's say mathematically. So author gives some examples, saying that yes, there are some miracles there as well. The style is unique. I can see, and there are some other scholars who are better than me in that regard, he says, at least implicitly, that they came to some conclusions that these letters are also miraculous. But he says, since we are not party to their secrets, so we are not witnessing these secrets ourselves or miracles, and even for those which I can, see, that I cannot provide proofs for you to enjoy. He says, okay, let's not open that door. So there are two things that I love with this approach of the author. The one thing, he emphasizes the fact that the miracles of Quran are for everyone to enjoy. And if you cannot enjoy at that moment, just a second, please. I'm sorry, I have to take care. Okay, sorry for interruption. So he says, yes, our style of talking about Quran is sharing things that we all can contemplate. If we cannot contemplate together, if we cannot experience the miracle together, then there's no point of mentioning things that only a certain people can do. It's not denying them, but he says, okay, it's not our, this is not the place to talk about them. If you want to study them yourself, go and study. If you can benefit from them, you can benefit. But our job here is to talk about things that all human being, every human being can understand, can experience, can enjoy. That's one part. The second part is maybe even more important than the first part, is that the way the author approached Quran is with an open mind. It's not a critical approach. So this is, what we are used to do, especially for those who have academic backgrounds. The critical approach is usually praised, right? You look at it as a text. If you don't like it, if you see some, something that doesn't make sense to you, you just say, you know what, this doesn't make sense for this and that reason. But the author says, okay, my expectation from Quran is being the speech of the creator of the universe. And on that regard, I have many reasons to believe that. I have all these evidences, which I shared with you as well, says author, implicitly, that I have thousands, even more evidence and reasons to believe that this is the speech of the creator of universe and the creator of myself. Hence, when I see something which doesn't make sense to me, when I see something that I cannot understand, I will prefer not to open that door for that moment. It's not covering it up, right? He says, okay, I will not open that door for now. It seems I'm not ready, or if it seems you are not ready. But there are some other scholars who've seen some miracles there as well. So I will rely on them since my prior evidence already, supports such a possibility. I will say, okay, I don't see it. So let's not open that door. But I am open to the idea that even these letters, these disjoint letters, mean something, and they mean something valuable. I'm open to this possibility, and I respect these scholars before me. So that's the only thing I will share with you, that there must be something miraculous with these letters as well. Let's continue with other miracles that we can study together. I really like these 2 points, so I just wanted to share with you. Jazakallah.
Thank you, Jazakallah khair. So yes, these are important points to, because in here he is saying that this is the part, there are experts on that, they saw that this is beyond human capacity, and here is a glimpse of it if you would like to taste it. But if it's not your taste, as Brother Birkan pointed, or if you are not able to comprehend it, don't worry. So maybe it's not your cup of tea at this moment, so you can leave it to others. That is right. And also at the end of like the last sentence, it says, we refer the readers to the explanation in the Isharatul Ijaz of 5 or 6 flashes of miraculousness related to them. So if you don't mind, I would like to take you to there, because this is generally a question. Like, okay, yes, like Quran is huge, of course. Those letters, like if somebody says, well, did you study the rest of the letters, that you are worried about what those letters are, which is a valid point, actually. Quran is huge. We can, and honestly, there are huge chunks of Quran that I did not study. But it also happens that sometimes people are just becoming, getting some doubts. What's the point of those letters? Why did my creator speak with those letters? What's the meaning behind that? I mean, this is generally sometimes it's some curiosity, sometimes it's sort of a doubt. So I guess for that matter, uh, I'm suggesting to make a little bit of a deep dive here, to whatever extent we can get into that, so that we can get a taste of what it is like, what it might mean, and then we can proceed to next part. Brother Birkan, I am seeing your hand.
Oh, just maybe one addition. I really appreciate that you taking us there. That's for sure. Second, I guess it's really important when we talk about these doubts. It's really important that what is our style, what is our approach to such doubts, because it's really important to have doubts. This is how progress is established and how achieved. So doubts are great. The only thing is that whenever we talk about doubts, I feel, especially for myself, that as if we don't have any solid ground to stand, and these doubts are shaking all around, right? We don't have any, branch to hold, and every single doubt is shaking us. But when it comes to Quran, at least the way I see with authors' stance, is that we do have a solid ground. I do have a solid ground when it comes to Quran, even like with the possibility that I will not have any time or any like a life remaining. Maybe I will die in a moment, not understanding these letters. It does not shake my ground. Yes, understanding it is important, And having doubts about that, about them, is also important. But I already have all these, how to say, like a satisfaction, all these, the peace with Quran, that not being able to understand one or two verses or one or two letters is almost secondary, like personally speaking. So this is something like, in a hypothetical case, you assume you have a very advanced technology, like a tool that does everything for you. Like you just press a button and it cleans your house, it do the dishes and whatever. And you are sure that this tech device, this gadget, is well crafted, is very useful, and it's made by superior engineers. You don't have any doubt about this core, the belief. How? Because you see the results. Your house is very clean. Dishes are made. The food is cooked. You can taste it. You can, smell it. Everything is there. You know the fact that it's made by superior engineers. And one day you see, one part of this device which seems ugly and it doesn't make sense. You don't see any use of it. It wouldn't shake your ground and say that, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this device was not built by engineers, like this really good engineers. You wouldn't even think about it. You would say, well, I'm sure, there's an explanation for that. So when it comes to such letters, like my personal idea is, approach is, yes, having doubts about them is important. The doubts are not, created by me anyway. I'm just following them. And I'm sure they will take me a better point, like they will open new doors in front of me. But not being able to open these doors at that time wouldn't shake my stand like a ground either. Why? Because I already know by experience how Quran is miraculous through its effect in my own life. So sorry for taking too much time.
Thank you. And this is important, yes, because I think it's a general issue how we handle our questions, how we handle our doubts. And I guess your answer applies to that in general, in the larger scale. Yesterday, for instance, I was meeting with a college student, a thinking person. He has questions, and but the questions were all over the place. So at some point, it was about evolution or causality. Then it became why woman is, like, when it comes to the court, uh, like two women's witnessing is becoming equivalent to one man's witnessing. So these are like bits and pieces of questions all over the place. And it's sometimes also happening that our relying or our certainty about Quran is not being that strong either. So little by little, those doubts are shaking it. And when that brother was asking this question to me, uh, definitely there were a lot of previous topics, discussions that needs to happen before talking about why there's this sort of a ruling in terms of like the court or inheritance and whatnot, which are common, if you like, criticisms against Quran. But these are the questions out there. Uh, so I avoided not answering because that would give the impression to that brother that I am dodging the question or I don't have an answer to that question. Because even when asking that question, he said, I asked that, well, actually his sister asked this question, younger sister, 16 years old, to parents. Parents didn't have an answer. She asked it to the brother. Brother didn't have an answer. And now the brother is asking to me. So I guess these are such matters which are lingering out there. At least getting to know that there is an answer. I attempt to get it. Partially, I understood. Partially, I didn't, but at least I know that there is an understandable answer somewhere. I think this is also valuable. But other than that, I 100% agree with Brother Birkan in terms of we need to learn how to handle those questions. We need to learn not to be drowned by those questions, but learn how to utilize them properly to reach the goal of learning. If the questions are preventing you from learning, then they are doing a disservice to you. But if they should be helping us to learn. So I guess in this regard, if it's not the time to, if it's not the number one priority to answer that question immediately, it can be postponed, but the focus should be put on other things. It shouldn't be like abandoned, but postponed maybe. So in general, I guess this is an important matter of how to handle questions or doubts. This being said, okay, Aziz raised his hand. Aziz, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have some like disconnected thoughts. So the first one, I'm just suggesting this. I think if you read Alif Lam Mim, Alif Lam Ra, all these really like difficult codes to think about, I think the obvious thing to me at least is it's a warning sign that the task is not easy. To read into a book that will serve as a guidance for you in all kinds of situations, like what you would call a great place to be, what you would call a terrible place to be. It's a lot of work and a lot of thinking, and I wonder if starting with such difficult such a thing like Alif Lam Mim is a warning sign. It's like, hey, pay attention. This is not easy. And the second thought I had was about like handling questions. I don't know if that's you were exactly talking about, but question that could be challenging to faith. I personally definitely recommend embracing being vulnerable because I know I am vulnerable all the time. And I think sharing that vulnerability is also healthy for one's faith and for credibility as well. And the last thought, and it's just out of curiosity, I wonder if any of you in Arabic or not in Arabic or in any kind of literature has seen anything like this. I'm just curious. Anything starting with letters like this in any language? Please let me know if you have. I'm just curious about that. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Aziz. Thank you for the comment. Yeah, I honestly don't know because I don't know Arabic literature if there are other examples like that. But yeah, your comment about it is being like a warning sign or to attract my attention as it's just at the very second page of the Quran. Because these are three letters. You can otherwise read them as alam, alam, whatever. There might be several different ways, or ilam, but it's being read with alif, lam, mim. So it's like, wait a second, what is this? Sort of a warning. Just makes you question yourself. This is something different. So get prepared and approach it with this mindset. So this was a good point. Jazakallah khair. Yeah. So this is from Isharatul Ijaz, the text that I shared, and I shared the link with you. Okay, so Atik is making a comment. He says, in my opinion, one good reason to believe can overcome 500 small invitations to disbelieve, Atik says. Yes, actually, this is a good point. If uh, good reason to believe is like a proof, so let's put it this way, the example of if belief is entering into a palace and you have one open door, uh, like if there are 500 closed doors, it wouldn't bother you because like as long as there's one open door, it would be more than enough for you to get into that palace. So this is what I understand from Atik's wording of one good reason to believe. Like if I am convinced it's a strong evidence for me, which resonates with me, then it would be enough for me to get into that belief, that conviction. And if there are 500 small invitations to disbelieve or closed doors with which I cannot reach to a conclusion, uh, it becomes irrelevant in a sense, because it's not disproving anything. It's just saying that I couldn't go with that. So these are general comments and beautiful comments about how to handle questions. So with that, I would like to read a few paragraphs from this Isharatul Ijaz about this matter. So in here, the author talks about Alif Lam Mim, and he classifies it under 4 topics related to this. The first topic is what we just read in the words. It talks about how these letters are chosen uh, across the Quran. Like I will just read the first so that you will see how it's related to the previous part. Firstly, Alif Lam Mim, together with other disjointed letters at the start of some surahs, their sisters, consist of half the letters in the alphabet, the basic elements of all words. That is, the Quran uses half the 28 letters and disregards half. Ponder over this. So Quran uses only half of them. Secondly, the half it takes are more commonly used than those it leaves out. Thirdly, of the letters it takes, the Quran repeats those easiest on the tongue, like Alif and Lam. So these are being repeated more than the rest because their pronunciation is easier. Fourthly, it mentions the disjointed letters at the start of 29 surahs, which corresponds to the number of letters of the alphabet. So, since I'm almost to the end of it, let me read all. It takes half of those letters that have pairs, like the concealed, mahmusa, the emphatic, majhura, the stressed, shadida, the soft, rakhwa, and the musta'liya, munkhafida, and munfatiha letters, and the rest of them. Of those that have no pairs, awthar, it takes fewer of the heavy, like qalqala, tremolo, and more of the light, like the labolinguals, the laqa. So this is about the specifics of the letter, but in general, what I understand from this part is letters are like sod and vod, let's say. One is, and there is sin, which is lighter. So this sort of letters are, in terms of their heaviness and lightness, they have been chosen. This is what I understand from here. So it says, sixthly, those it uses of these are finer in character. Seventhly, the way Quran has chosen for selecting the disjointed letters is 1 out of 504 possibilities, and this is the only possible way of halving the letters of the alphabet with their particular characters. For the divisions into different groups of letters are interwoven and one within the other, as well as being dissimilar. Each of these divisions is truly remarkable and singular. So if a person fails to appreciate the light of miraculousness born of the blending of these rays, he has only his own lack of discernment to blame, which I agree with that, because I guess to the extent that I'm not able to appreciate this is because I am quite illiterate in terms of those details of Arabic language. So let's go with the second topic. Alif, Lam, Mim are each like the rap of a knocker. They rouse the listener, as Aziz was saying, alerting him through their singularity that they are the harbingers of something strange and remarkable. This topic also contains a number of subtleties. Firstly, the disjointing of the letters and their being spelled out by name indicates that what they signify is of the same kind as themselves. Like rather than combining those letters, they are being read by themselves, like Alif, Lam, and Mim. The disjointing of the letters and they are being spelled out by name, because we are spelling out the name of the letter rather than combining it, indicates that what they signify is of the same kind as themselves. They are referring to themselves. Because generally, when we see letters in a word like house, House, those letters do not refer to themselves. You never think about the letters when you see the word house. All those letters get together to refer to a concept which is house, and it has nothing to do with those individual letters. But in Alif, Lam, Mim, this is not the case, as if in here, Alif refers to Alif, Lam refers to Lam, Mim refers to Mim. They are not referring to something else in here, unlike the rest of the book, because in the rest of the book, they will refer to other meanings, which is an interesting part to note, why this is happening like that. Secondly, these letters being disjointed indicates that what they signify is assumedly one and not compound. These letters being disjointed indicates that what they signify is assumedly one and not compound. Thirdly, the spelling out of the letters by disjointing them is an indication that it is alluding to the material of the art, as though providing pen and paper for those wanting to dispute them by writing. It is as if the Quran is saying, hey, you obstinate rivals, you are the masters of fine speech. You have at your disposal the materials I had when I devised these. You do likewise if you can. Yeah, as if Quran is, since it is challenging the audience with its miraculousness, it says here is the pen and pencil of what I use, like letters. Here are the letters, and by using these letters, I am demonstrating miraculousness. Forget about the meaning, just use the letters and compete with me, as if. Fourthly, being devoid of meaning, the disjointing of the letters indicates that the Quran's opponents have been left without proof. For they say, we don't know the facts, stories, and ordinances that we might dispute you. So it appears the Quran is saying, I only want you to produce something similar to the eloquent ordering of the letters, Nazmul Balagha, even if it is made up. Forget about the meaning. Compete with me just in terms of ordering of letters, if you can. If you're saying that, yeah, in terms of knowledge, we don't know the story of Moses or Jesus, so how can we compete with you in terms of meaning? Okay, put meaning aside. Can you compete with Quran just in terms of the ordering, eloquence of ordering? Fifthly, calling the letters by their names is the custom of scholars and writers. But both the one uttering this speech and those listening to him were unlettered. Considering its character, therefore, the letters being in this unexpected form infers that this speech is not his, but was imparted to him. Yeah. So this part, I guess, calling the letters by their names, it reminds me of when you learn your mother tongue, you don't know grammar rules, you don't know letters, you know how to speak perfectly, but you wouldn't know letters anyways. You wouldn't know the symbols of letters, or the letter A doesn't exist for you. You know how words sound and everything, but the alphabet is not there for you. So calling the letters by their names is the custom of scholars and writers. But the messenger who is uttering the words of Quran, and also the ones that listen to Quran, were unlettered people. They were not scholars. So as if by that, Quran is declaring this speech is not his words, but was imparted to him, revealed to him. Sixthly, spelling out letters syllable by syllable is particular to learners of reading and writing. It is understood from this, then, that the Quran was establishing a new way and was teaching illiterate people. Spelling out letters syllable by syllable is particular to learners of reading and writing. So it is understood from this then that the Quran was establishing a new way and was teaching illiterate people. So as if it's saying here is A, B, C, this is where I am starting to teach you from. You need to learn, first of all. When I hear this, I would say, well, I know alphabet. Quran says, no, I'm going to start teaching you from the letters. What you think you know is not going to work for you, because you have problems that goes beyond this existence. You have the trouble of death. You have the trouble of transience, to which your own knowledge is not helping to tackle those problems. You think you know, but your knowledge is useless. And you know nothing about those crucial questions. Your purpose in this life, the meaning of this existence. You have no clue about this. So you are quite illiterate in that. So admit your illiteracy. And here I start teaching to you from letters. Get ready. Those who cannot see the elevated art in the interweaving of these lines, though admittedly some are very fine, are novices to the art of eloquence, so should apply to its adepts. So then there is going to be a third part, but any comments about the second topic before we proceed to the next? Any point that you would like to emphasize that you liked, or any questions you have, any of those points here that the author is extracting some meanings about, some possible meanings of those letters? No? Is it because it's so clear, or is it so hard? So give me some feedback. If it is being irrelevant, we can go back to the original text and continue from there. Atik says it's clear. Aziz says it's too hard. Okay, 1-1. Any other comments? If you can help me with, shall I proceed to the next part in this new text or go back to the words? People waiting for your votes. Go to the next part. go to the next part in the original text or in here, Aziz? Like third topic or going back to the birds?
I just meant that the part that you were explaining, I just think it's too difficult for me. I know it's difficult for you as well. It's just, at least that's my guess. So,
Okay.
so I didn't want you to explain it more for me.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I'm going to the next page then. Third topic. Alif Lam Mim indicate the ultimate consciousness, which is the second of the two principles of the Quran's miraculousness. Sorry, I'll read it again. I misread it. Alif Lam Mim indicate the ultimate conciseness, which is the second of the two principles of the Quran miraculousness. This topic comprises of a number of fine points. Firstly, Alif Lam Mim indicate, allude to, hint, intimate, and suggest the following successive allegorical comparison. So, al-qiyas al-tamthili al-mutasalsil, like a chain of allegorical comparison. This is the pre-eternal speech of Allah, which Gabriel brought down to Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon both. So this is the successive allegorical comparison is the sentence. This is the pre-eternal speech of Allah, which Gabriel brought down to Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon both. It's interesting, what's the relationship between this sentence and these three letters? As if the author is saying that these three letters is symbolically talking about this sentence. How come? For sometimes the ordinances laid down in the whole Quran are set out in summary in a single long surah. And sometimes a long surah is represented elusively in a short one. And sometimes a short surah is included symbolically in a single verse. And sometimes a verse is indicated in a single sentence. And sometimes a sentence is hinted at in a single word. And sometimes, too, such a comprehensive word may be discerned in the disjointed letters, like in Sin, Lam, Mim. Similarly, the whole Quran may be discerned in Surah Al-Baqarah, and Al-Baqarah in Surah Al-Fatiha, and Al-Fatiha in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in a chiseled or sculpted Bismillah. The same goes for Alif Lam Mim. So is this part clear so far? So in a sense, author is talking about as if a human is summarized in a single cell. A single cell is summarized in a single DNA. Like if you take a single DNA, you get the whole human in summary. So he says this applies to Quran as well. The whole message of Quran is included in Surah Al-Baqarah. The main message of Surah Al-Baqarah is included in Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is included in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, so on and so forth. He says this applies to Alif Lam Mim being the whole summary of Surah Al-Baqarah. So the same goes for Alif Lam Mim. On the strength of this successive allegorical comparison, and as indicated by ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, that is the book, the verse that comes right after Alif Lam Mim, manifested from Alif Lam Mim is the meaning that is Allah's pre-eternal speech, which Gabriel brought down to Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. As if, what I understand from here is, those letters like Alif is like referring to Allah, Mim is referring to Muhammad in here, and Lam is the like conduit, if you like, between the source and the destination. So indicating that this is Allah's pre-eternal speech, which Gabriel brought down to Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So this is being summarized in these three letters. Secondly, the disjointed letters are divine ciphers communicated by the Most High to his messenger, with whom is the key, to which the human mind has not yet attained. So still there's this aspect, this cipher aspect of it. And who is the messenger? I guess we need to ask this question in here again, as we have been discussing on our Wednesday discussions. So the messenger is the first and most, let's say, conscious addressee of the Quran. So this is why whatever is spoken to him, he must have understood it to full extent. Otherwise, the creator would be unwise. If you speak to someone, the creator is the creator of my consciousness and the consciousness of human being, and his speech is spoken to be understood. So it must be that the Quran must be understood by the messenger. So this is like a communication, a ciphered communication between the creator and his most noble servant. But also to the extent that I can become a dedicated student of the messenger, I would start getting bits and pieces of this treasure. And here I guess the author is telling us what he gathered from those verses. Most probably over centuries, people studied these, came up with possible understandings for those letters, and he's providing us a summary of that in here. Thirdly, Alif Lam Mim show the acute intelligence of the one to whom they were revealed, for he understood what was only elusive, symbolic, and obscure, as though it were explicit and clear. So just the letters themselves highlight the intelligence of the messenger. Can Nazmo? Okay, Nazmo, if you would like to talk, your mic was open, or was it a mistake? Okay, it was a mistake. So those letters being there, and since they must have been understood by the messenger, it also shows the worthiness of the messenger to receive this revelation. He must have understood that. So he was an intelligent, he must have been an intelligent person because he understood from those signs. Fourthly, the disjointing of these letters indicates that the value of the letters lies not in their meanings, but in their natural mutual relationships, like the relationship between numbers. The science of the hidden properties of letters, Ilm Asrar al-Huruf, has discovered these relationships. Yeah. So since it's referring to that knowledge of secrets of letters, I don't know much about this part. If anybody has any comments, please go ahead. Fifthly, okay, Birkan Tunç.
Jazakallah khairan, especially for articulating for my so it's interesting, like you said, the secrets of letters. it sounds so mysterious, so supernatural. And I'm sure many of us, like including myself, since I'm speaking, there must be something in me that triggers. Like we don't like such things, right? We don't like talking about supernatural, mysterious things, secrets of ladders. Come on. Like we are fed up with such, the talk. Just give us things that we can talk with the unbelievers, or to tell us some stuff that we can talk with, anybody, educated or not educated. So yes, definitely, Quran is for everybody. Everybody will benefit from it. Everybody would, get guidance from it. But I think it also doesn't mean that a Quran is bounded by my level, by my level of understanding. Just because I have this expectation of understanding Quran and my creators should speak to me, it doesn't mean that what is spoken is limited with my current understanding. So it's very interesting the way authors, touch upon this topic. He gives things that I can confirm. So for instance, he says, okay, these letters arouse the attention. And I can say, yes, definitely, at least to me. When I read Alif, Lam, Ra, right? It aroused my attention. That's something I can say, yes. But author says also, Birkan, I'm sorry, but you are a finite being and you don't get it all. There are some other secrets as well that are not open to you yet, but which are open to some other people. And there is nothing mysterious about that. Like, how many of you know the deepness of calculus, for instance? I'm sure many of you, learned somehow some kind of calculus at school, but not all of us knows the deep inside of the calculus, right? We know some of us know, these first order derivatives, but some others would have difficulty understanding the second or the third order derivatives. So we already familiar with the idea that there are some secrets in every science, in every topic. An author here says, yes, these are the parts that I'm sharing with you, but also there are some parts which are secret to me or to you, studied by other scholars. So talking about secrets, talking about, mysterious things, at least to me, like I'm trying to convince myself, because I have this tendency of being afraid of such talks, that it shouldn't bother me, because this is how I experience life, like regardless of whether I name it that way or not. There are some scholars of calculus which knows many secrets, and they are not open to me. And if I want to study it, I have to spend at least a year or maybe 2 or maybe 3 to follow what they are talking about. Just to understand what they are talking about, I have to spend at least 2-3 years. So author says the same here as well. These letters have some mysteries, some people studying them. If you want to follow, just follow them, but don't expect that it will open to you just in the moment. You have to spend some time, take it serious. Maybe it's not, as you said, maybe it's not your cup of tea. But just like everything else, you have to be serious. You have to be, respectful to knowledge here as well. You have to, spend some time to attain.
Thank you. So, so in the light of what Brother Birkan said, and I was rereading this fourthly part again. So, now I understand from that text again, giving it a second chance, is separation of those letters also indicate that the positioning of those letters means something other than what they mean when they are put together. So like the relationship between numbers. And as he refers to this, the science of the hidden properties of letters, I guess the most famous example of this, as I know, is Shaykh al-Akbar, like Ibn al-Arabi, who has written extensively about these, how those letters, what do they mean, what do they signify, and from them he said, oh, this will happen and whatnot. And people who study Arabi, Ibn Arabi says he extracted some meanings which were accurate. So Nursi himself also at some point mentions some of the letters as such. So in here, as if Nursi is saying that this positioning of letters and them being disjoint also highlights that letters are not only coming together to give the meaning of house, but sometimes the word house having the letter H-O-U-S-E, to give an English example, might mean something like some hidden properties of letters, so on and so forth. I think this is what this ilm asrar al-huruf, the science of hidden properties of letters, means. Fifthly, in particular, alif, lam, mim indicate by their being disjointed the three main points of articulating sound: the throat, the mouth, and the lips. And this in turn infers that the attention will be caught and the whale of familiarity rent, driving one to study the wondrous colors of the embroidery of the letter's creation. So as if this including the whole speech, the formation of speech, as I understood here, how articulating of the sound. So these three letters is saying that as if this content of the speech that is to come is going to be the speech, because it's giving the summary of speech in terms of how the sound is being made with these three letters. You who is washed in the colors of the art of eloquence, assemble the various pieces of these fine points and gaze on them as a whole, then listen to their reciting to you, this is Allah's word. Or, I guess in the original text it was Ashhadu anna hadha kalamullah, I bear witness that this is word of God. Hadha kalamullah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so I felt like today I am left lonely. So let's go back to the words. Your silence, from your silence, I am getting the news that maybe we should go back to our main text. So going back to here, I think that much of disjointed letters would be sufficient for us, inshallah. If anybody wants to continue with the fourth, I shared the link in the chat, so you can continue from there. So this was about the letters in terms of style. Now, we shall point out the Quranic styles with regard to surah, aim, verse, phrase, and word. For example, if the surah, about what are they disputing? This is Surah An-Naba. عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. Is studied carefully, if that surah is studied carefully, it shows the events of the hereafter, the resurrection of the dead, and paradise and hell in a style so unique and wonderful that it proves the divine acts and dominical works in this world as though looking at each of those events of the next world and convinces the heart. Actually, this is a beautiful example. One of the questions that this college student asking yesterday was, he told me, do you believe that people, all the people go, or unbelievers go to hell? So how would you give an answer to that question? Do you believe that there is hell and unbelievers go to hell? This was the question. And now the author is saying that this chapter, the Surah An-Naba, which I think is chapter 78, if I'm not wrong. Yes, chapter 78. It shows the events of the hereafter, the resurrection of the dead, and paradise and hell in a style, because this chapter is talking about this, in a style so unique and wonderful that it proves the divine acts and dominical works in this world as though looking at each of those events of the next world, and convinces the heart. Because my heart is having those questions. And is there an afterlife? Is there a heaven and hell? Like, people are doing injustice, or some people are doing good, but are they going to hell? Like unbelievers are going to hell. Yesterday's question was, but they are doing discoveries in medicine, helping the people. Are they going to hell? This was a question. Or, yeah, I am paying my taxes, I am not passing in the red light, but yeah, I'm maybe not following a religion. Yeah, there must be a superpower God, but religion is not to my taste. Still, am I going to hell? Like, these sort of questions are out there. So I'm looking for a conviction. Or it might be that, yeah, I want to go to paradise, but it looks like everybody is dying. Nobody came back from there to be a witness of, okay, yeah, there is an afterlife. So I want to feel secure, especially if you are putting a beloved one to the grave. Like, you feel awkward. You wouldn't like that most beloved is going to be cold under this earth, eventually going to rot. So heart looks for a conviction that eternal life must exist. How does the surah do that? It shows the events of hereafter, the resurrection of the dead, and paradise and hell in a style so unique and wonderful that it proves the divine acts and dominical works in this world as though looking at each of those events in the next world, each of those events of the next world, and convinces the heart. To expound the style of the surah fully would be lengthy, so we shall merely indicate one or 2 points as follows. At the start of the surah, to prove the resurrection. So before reading this example, if you don't mind, very quickly I would like to take you to the translation of the surah. And we just go over it to see what is the scope of the surah, then go back to what author says, trying to make sense of the two. Okay, let's go with Yusuf Ali translation. It's going to be simpler. Okay. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Concerning what are they disputing? Concerning the great news, about which they cannot agree. Verily, they shall soon come to know. Verily, verily, they shall soon come to know. Have we not made the earth as a wide expanse, and the mountains as pegs? And have we not created you in pairs, and made your sleep for rest, and made the night as a covering, and made the day as means of subsistence, and made the day as a means of earning livelihood? And have we not built over you the seven firmaments, or seven skies, and placed therein a light of splendor? And do we not send down from the clouds water in abundance, that we may produce therewith corn and vegetables, and gardens of luxurious growth? So up to here was just counting those the things that we experience in this existence. Verily, the day of sorting out is a thing appointed. Very quickly, I will switch to the Arabic. Okay. Inna yawm al-fasl kana miqata. Okay. Verily, the day of sorting out is a thing appointed. The day that the trumpet shall be sounded, and you shall come forth in crowds. So in here, definitely the direction of the text is changing. And the heavens shall be opened as if there were doors, and the mountains shall vanish as if they were a mirage. Truly, hell is a place of ambush, for the transgressors a place of destination. They will dwell therein for ages. Nothing cool shall they taste therein, nor any drink, save a boiling fluid, and a fluid dark, murky, intensely cold. A fitting recompense for them, for that they used not to fear any account for their deeds, but they impudently treated our signs as false, and all things have we preserved on record. So taste you the fruits of your deeds, for no increase shall we grant you except in punishment. This is another stop, another change of direction in the text. Verily, for the righteous, there will be a fulfillment of desires, the heart's desires. Gardens enclosed and grape wines, companions of equal age, and a cup full to the brim. No vanity shall they hear therein, nor untruth. Recompense from your Lord, a gift amply sufficient. From the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and all between, most gracious. None shall have power to argue with him. The day that the Spirit and the angels will stand forth in ranks, none shall speak except any who is permitted by Allah, most gracious, and he will say what is right. That day will be the sure reality. Therefore, whose will let him take a straight return to his Lord. Verily, we have warned you of a penalty near the day when men will see the deeds which his hands have sent forth, and the unbeliever will say, woe unto me, would that I were a mere dust. So this is brief, a very brief translation of the chapter. Now let's get back to how the author is analyzing this in terms of the beauty in the style. I'll reread the first part that I just read before transitioning to the surah. In that surah, it shows that the events of the hereafter, the resurrection of the dead, and paradise and hell, in a style so unique and wonderful that it proves the divine acts and dominical works in this world as though looking at each of those events of the next world, and convinces the heart. To expand the style of this surah fully would be lengthy, so we shall merely indicate 1 or 2 points as follows. At the start of the surah, to prove the resurrection, it says, so again, the surah was sort of 3 stages. The first part was an introduction, talking about our experiences in this world. Then it was talking about hell. Then it was talking about paradise. At the start of the surah, to prove the resurrection. So the explanation, author says, the explanation of our experiences is to prove the resurrection. This was the evidence part. To prove the resurrection, it says, we have made the earth a beautifully decked out cradle for you, and the mountains masts and poles full of treasure for your house and your lives. We have made you as couples, loving and close to one another. We have made the night a coverlet for your sleep of comfort, the daytime the arena in which you earn your livelihood, the sun a light-giving, heat-supplying lamp, and from the clouds we pour down water as though they were a spring producing the water of life. And we create easily and quickly from the simple water the various flower-bearing and fruit-bearing things which bear all your sustenance. Since this is so, the day of resurrection, the day when good and evil shall be separated out, awaits you. Since this is so, the day of resurrection, the day when good and evil shall be separated out, awaits you. It is not difficult for us to bring about that day. In a veiled way, it points to proofs that after this, at the resurrection, the mountains will be scattered, the skies shattered, hell readied, and the people of paradise given gardens and orchards. It says, in effect, since he does these things related to the mountains and the earth before your very eyes, he shall do things resembling these in the hereafter. That is to say, the mountain at the beginning of the surah looks to the state of the mountains at the resurrection, and the garden to the gardens and paradises in the hereafter. You may compare other points to this and see what a beautiful and elevated style it has. So, any comments? What is your take from the chapter and author's interpretation, understanding of the eloquence of style in here? Comments are more than welcome to save me some breath. Breathe. Okay. Brother Birkan, please go ahead.
Jazakallah khairan. We have a quiet crowd today. So I guess it's very clear that the author says, okay, the way I'm reading the Quran is by making connection with the things that I observe, that I experience, even when the topic is about hereafter. And he says this is actually the Quran's style. When Quran talks about hereafter, Quran talks about the mountains, clouds, sun, vegetables, animals, water that we all witness. An author says, since you are sustained, you have sustenance in this world, there's no doubt that you have one kind of sustenance in hereafter as well. And what you see with mountains tells you about what you will see in hereafter as a, you know, a new creation. Whatever mountains represent to you, what you learn from mountains, when you go to hereafter, when you resurrected and see whatever it is in this realm of creation, you will see the resemblance between them. You will see the same meaning there as well. So everything you experience is like a speech telling you about your creator. And to the extent you know about your creator, you will have some understanding of hereafter as well. So if you want to know about the hereafter, Quran says, look around more carefully. If you want to know whether you will go to hell or heaven, if you want to know whether a certain way of living is worthy of hell or the heaven, just look at the way you live the life. Look at the way you are connected to your creator, and do not expect something different in hereafter as well. If you are distant to your creator, you will be distant to your creator there. If you look at the creation, if you look at the mountains, the sun, the clouds, and only thing you see is just mountains, sound, clouds, then when they are destroyed, you will be left with nothing. Because this is all you see. If when you look at the mountains, all you see is the mountains, when mountains are gone, you're left with nothing. And don't expect more. You will be left with nothing. So there's no kind of, I don't want to use word mystery, but forgive me for my lack of English vocabulary, that there's no mystery there. What you have here, what you believe here, what you believe, what you have there. But what happens, like when I look at mountains, when I look at sun, like I cannot make sense of it most of the time. So what I'm going to do, here comes the answer, a speech of Creator, Quran teaching you. His prophet teaching you. So you are not left alone. Stick to them. Try to see the real meaning behind everything, so that this meaning will feed you, will be sustenance for you in hereafter as well. But otherwise, if you are just, wasting your time with saving people, saving life of the people, I'm just, talking as if derogating, like belittling this activity. But if you are seeing it like you are a great doctor, but if you are seeing your profession as just a profession, like I'm a great doctor and I'm earning a lot of money, I'm saving the life of people, when everybody dies and there's no life to save, then you have nothing left. So if this is what you are relying on, that, I don't, cross the road when it is red light. I'm a great traffic person. When there's no traffic, you have nothing. And that time will come that there will be no traffic light, and your super, personality, your super character who doesn't cross the road when there's the red light will be left with nothing. So Quran says your stance in this life will determine your sustenance in hereafter. Don't expect more. So this is what I understand from this part.
Jazakallah khair. While waiting for other comments, and I'll be more than happy to hear other comments, please. So I shall first stop for a few seconds to encourage people or to make them guilty for not talking today, because this absurd silence makes people uneasy, hopefully, so that they talk. So while waiting for you, yeah, chapter starts with some questioning that people have. They ask one another about this time, this news. Quran says they will know about it. It's not like it's an unknowable thing. They will know about it. Certainly they will know about it, as if each and every person will know about that. And to give an answer to this, Quran talks about the next, as if saying that he promised that you will know about it, and then starts talking. So I'm expecting that now Quran is going to reveal me the answer to that question, the news that I'm interested in learning about. What am I going to happen? I don't want to die, but I will die, I know. So what will happen then? Is it over afterwards? What is next? Is there a next? Then Quran talks about regular things, but speaks of regular, quote unquote, regular things in a way that there's an emphasis of we do this, we do this, we do this. Because when you think about the rain, how does it rain? Oh yeah, there's precipitation, then the formation of the clouds, then the clouds get condensed, and then it comes down as rain. There is no we in here, if you pay attention. So Quran is saying, no, we do it. It doesn't happen by precipitation. It doesn't happen by condensation. It doesn't happen by itself. We are the one that sends the rain. Don't you see that? So as if Quran is saying that this is the gist of the matter. If you find it as him is the sender of it, if you realize that he is the sender of the rain, he is the creator of the grains and the food and the vegetables, he is the creator of pairs for you, or created you in pairs, like husband and spouse in here, or anything and everything in pairs in this existence, then you wouldn't have any trouble at all saying that, well, after I die, I wasn't existing before and now I do exist. And after I die, there is nothing different or nothing hard for the creator to resurrect me, because he already showed in the first place that he can create me. He does create me. Actually, he keeps creating me for the last 35 years. So I wouldn't have even a question, even a doubt that this would happen once more, because it already keeps happening day in, day out. But if I miss the part about we do it, then what is happening? The world already collapses in front of my eyes at every moment. Like as if the existence is collapsing. Like there is global warming, there is earthquakes, and my body is collapsing day in, day out. I am getting old. I am starting to see those dots on my skin, which are the news of old age. I am starting to see white hair. So I'm collapsing and this is my hell. I already experience it. So as if Quran is saying that, are you doubtful about hell? Just look at yourself. Since you don't say that he is the door, you are already being put in a hellish state when you are on earth here. Can you fight against this? No. Because of your denial, you are already putting yourself in this prison. You find yourself in this prison of hell. So this is what you're going to face. You already started facing it. Your eternal punishment already have started. Because I feel like in a moment, I want to enjoy the moment, the taste, joys, but the joy itself starts my own prison. Because once the joy disappears, it leaves a scar in my taste. So now the memory of this taste remains, but the taste does not remain. Oh, how good it was. If only it happens again, is what remains, which is pain. Because sometimes I guess it might make more sense for in very extreme cases. Let's say you love someone so much, like a beloved, and you couldn't reach that person. Let's say you fall in love with a girl, but it didn't happen somehow. Still, you love that person, but you couldn't just become, let's say, husband and wife. It didn't happen. You would say, if only I have never met her, because now the scar of that pain of love is with me. This is our reality with the whole existence. We do experience beautiful things and they go away, leaving scars on us. And in this case, it becomes our own hell. Right in here, indicating or highlighting that this is what's going to stay with you. This is your hell. Are you still having doubts about a hell to come? You already experience it. So more of this will come, no doubt. So in a sense, this verse, and since it has mountains at the beginning, talking about the mountains that we experience, then talks about the same mountains after resurrection, like in a hellish state, when in a sense, actually, it was referring to resurrection as Yawmul Fasl. So truth and falsehood is getting separated from each other. The day, the day of sorting out. So resurrection is the day of sorting things out. Saying as if the things are already in front of your eyes, but in a mixed manner. Resurrection is what makes them sorted out. So, and it's going to happen to you eventually. If you read into it, in this existence, you are going to start seeing paradise while you are in this existence. But if you, as long as you attribute it to its true source, you will start living in heaven when you are living on earth. But if you don't see the doer as we, as the verse was describing in the first part of the chapter, then you will find yourself in the hell and you will start getting pain from all your experiences. You would wish that you didn't exist in the first place. You would say, oh, if only, as it says at the end of the chapter, the unbeliever will say, woe unto me, would that I were a mere dust, meaning I didn't exist. I hope I didn't exist at all in the first place, because every experience that I go through becomes a source of pain for me. Aziz makes a comment, taking credit, claim what you have been given, and you will be in hell. So take some credit, claim what you have been given as yours, and you will be in hell. Hell is much easier for me to understand compared to heaven. as it says, and that's right, because we do this taking credit and claiming things as ours, although they're entrusted to us all the time, and we very well know how it feels, the burden of doing that, and we cannot hold them in our hands, so it leaves us with scar. And understanding heaven is, as you said, is another thing. Yes, any comments? I will stop here. Any comments about the text or the chapter, the relationship between the two? Nope. Okay. Jazakallah khair, everyone. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله